Hello, good morning and welcome to NewsX. We're live on DSP channel 421, GoTV channel 125, across all our social media handles. We're Joy News on TV. Coming up within the next 60 minutes, we enter the camp of the governing New Patriotic Party for a conversation this morning as we discuss the promises made on the campaign trail. Also, we'll hear from Democracy Hub, organizers of Fix the Country, as they protest government's failure to end illegal mining. They are also demanding the removal of the lands minister. Take a seat and be my guest. Thanks for choosing us for your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Now we start with Democracy Hub, organizers of Fix the Country demonstration, because they are asking the lands minister Samuel Jinapor to resign following his failure to end the illegal mining menace. Leaders of the group say they will be on the streets for 3 consecutive days to drum home the message to fix illegal mining menace. Let's speak to Oliver Bakavomomo. He is leader of the group. Thank you for your time here on NewsX. You want the lands minister to resign or be removed? Oliver, you have to unmute for me so that I can hear you clearly. We're just getting a better sense of some of your key demands. Yes. You want him removed or resign?
So one of the things we are asking for is that for us to be able to find a way in terms of the environmental conversation we are having and the urgent crisis we are facing, there has to be some accountability taken at the highest level. And those individuals who have been in charge of the Republic's key institutions about fighting the problem and claiming to be leading the process ought to take the fair by stepping aside to resigning or be removed. Unless those who have been part of the problem can't take that accountable measures for themselves, then all the things we are doing, irrespective of what we are demanding for, is not going to happen. They cannot be part of the national framework for setting up a conversation about how we provide solutions. We cannot ask the problem for solutions. And so those who are part of the problem, all we're asking for is that they take the initiative and resign. And this is why we are embarking on this demonstration.
When would you hit the streets and what areas will you likely cover? Is it around the country?
So what the protest is happening in Accra at the Revolutionary Square, which is opposite the Jolobi House. We are expecting that people will show up on the 21st of September to the 23rd, which is the Monday of September. Now, we have done all the legal requirement that is required. We've notified the police and all that is set. All we are taking steps now these few days is to prepare a framework where we can continue to keep protesters safe, providing water, providing them access to all medical needs that they will have during the process, but also, importantly, setting up a framework for where people can come and engage protesters and tell them about what the problem is. So educational activities during the 3-day protest.
We know that members of Democracy Hub, to a large extent, are young people. What does this mean for the youth when it comes to getting up and rising for their rights?
So one of the things we can agree to is that there's a groundswell of a lot of organizations talking about. Organized labor is demanding a complete ban on mining for us to take stock and then see how we can put up a framework. The Auditor General's report shows that the EPA lacks the capacity to be an environmental steward. And so it makes no sense to continue to be giving mining licenses when there's no capacity to be able to enforce the environmental measures that we claim to have. Now, the key constituent whose futures are most affected by what is happening is young people. The Constitution talks about the environment as an intergenerational legacy we ought to leave for posterity. So those of us whose legacy are most at stake must show the same sense of urgency in demanding reform to better protect our future. And that's why we are appealing for young people to get involved in the conversation. So it is not an elite-driven process, but that it has grassroots or young people resonance in their lives, and they understand that they are part of the conversations and the actors who must speak up.
is what we're discussing. You want also to see measures from government. Apart from the resignation of the lands minister, what specific move would you like to see government take when it comes to ending illegal mining?
Sorry, I think I lost you for a bit.
Okay, I'm asking, you want the lands minister to go, but then what specific move would you propose government take to end illegal mining?
So what we are saying is that not only the lands minister, the minister for lands and natural resources, the minister for environment, the heads of the forestry commission, the EPA, and also the minerals commission, that these are the critical institutions who for the past how many years have been paying lip service to protecting our environment. Unless we can engage them in a process where the institutions take accountability for what they have done, all the measures we are proposing are not going to go ahead.
Now, there's a school of thought that...
Now, we back the calls for a believe that the solution forward is a state of emergency. I think that people don't understand what a state of emergency means. It means the suspension of our human rights. We don't think that we need to suspend our human rights to be able to enforce our laws. That the laws can be enforced and we cannot do more damage to our constitutional framework. So we have to have level-headed solutions that protect our environmental legacy and not lead way to hyperbole and empty gestures like a set up a 3-member committee and things that, all these gestures that have no meaning for our life. This is what we're asking for. Now, for us to be able to achieve this, we ought to remember that power conceives nothing without demand. And until our demand and our voices reach a particular crescendo, all the things we're asking for from a government that is more focused on the upcoming elections than anything, we are not going to achieve this. We have to recenter the conversation to things that matter to us beyond the elections, you know.
And did I get the sense there that you don't feel it's necessary to declare a state of emergency? Clarify for me.
Yeah, the call for a state of emergency, the constitutional framework around emergency means that the entirety of our human rights will be suspended. I don't see, there's no roadmap as to what the state of emergency is going to achieve. Without a credible roadmap, why are we suspending constitutional rights to allow people's rights to be violated by the same actors who are involved in the galamsey? Now, we need to know how we engage the giving lawlessness of overwhelming power to institutions that have continued to act lawlessly. This is why a national conversation is important. This is why this protest is important. People ought to be able to understand and know the issues before we engage. We demand from the people who have made the problem certain solutions that do not make sense and in fact are going to worsen the problems. We know from the fourth estate investigation, for instance, that most people who are involved in irresponsible mining across the country are politically affiliated with. What we are going to do is that we're going to arm them to create for themselves a mafia or a cartel around environmental mining, and they're going to use the instrument of the state to do this. We need to understand the beast we are fighting for. If not, we are going to empower these same people who are involved in the very thing and allow them to entrench the access to mine sites and entrench the access to these resources that they are mining at will.
I was just going through a petition from a group. They call themselves the Center for Climate Change and Food Security. They want Parliament to criminalize ecocide and make it equal to murder. They are proposing minimum sentence of 25 years for individuals caught in illegal mining. Do you think that should be the way to go?
I think that is part of the conversation that we need to have. First of all, it's also important to define what the end goal is and what is it connected to. I'll give you an example. In terms of the protests we are having, we are clear that the resignations of these people sets a tone of accountability. Consistently, we have seen that those who are leading the charge have not taken individual and collective accountability for the failures. And if we don't push the conversation around accountability, then we are missing a critical part in terms of the reform. So anytime we propose and put solutions on the table, we need to ask ourselves what are the end goal and how is it connected or integrated with a holistic reform of our processes. That conversation is important. So if a call for something is only a beginning of understanding the framework for how we create a responsible environmental framework for accountability.
And then at the heart of this issue, allegations of individuals high and mighty in society involved in illegal mining. What key proposals are your group making to deal with such issues?
You know, the truth is that there's an economic problem at the heart of this environmental degradation. The level and the scale of what we are seeing is unprecedented for a reason. And we continue to deny that people's lives have gotten worse, that poverty is on the rise, that young people are losing hope in our ability of our democracy to provide them economic answers. What people are doing, and a lot of people involved in this, at least in the mining level, are young people. These are people who are economically disenfranchised. And we are refusing to acknowledge the economic disenfranchisement to provide solutions to this. This is the ostrich we are playing with, a beast that is now biting us in the behind. So if we are going to be able to have this conversation properly, and we have engaged so many mining communities, we have been there, we have tried to mobilize people, we do not have alternative livelihood frameworks that are put in place. So this is not about just declaring state of emergency and then send the soldiers on the ground and then they go and collect more bribes into their pocket and beat people up and kill people, and then we come back and fold our hands and say, what have we done? It requires thinking and solutions. It's not a time for quick fixes and doing something for the cameras as we have done traditionally. So we need to provide a true livelihood framework that acknowledges that we have economically disenfranchised people. And how are we going to get them out of that situation? If not, any of our environmental pacts that we are signing, they are not going to subscribe to that chart. They don't see the reality of an environment for tomorrow when hunger days for today. That is what we think is happening.
Oliver Baka-Vomawo, he is leader of the Democracy Hub. Thank you for your time here on NewsDesk. Now, away from this, we are your election headquarters, and flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is on the campaign trail, among others. He's promised a seat defense wall for coastal areas to mitigate impact of the sea and other water bodies on the environment. Well, we would be delving into this, and I have in the studio Miracles Aboagye. It's always a pleasure to have you here on NewsDesk. Oh, I'm glad you're here. So let's get into the issues. We'll get your brief reaction on the calls for the lands minister to go. The NPP already has a stance when it comes to illegal mining. Do you think those calls are valid at this point?
I really doubt those who try to scapegoat in situations like this actually mean well for the country, and then you begin to ask yourself whether genuinely it is the issue they want addressed or they just want to do politics. These are people who say lands minister should go, but tell us to go and vote for former President Mahama and come with his ministers. This is a group of people who were in power and could not manage this situation. You recall, when Anadanko Akufo-Addo came to office and was being sworn in his statement, he had Galamsey as a major issue, which he promised to deal with. You recall? What it means is that anybody that creates an impression as if Galamsey was a creation of Nana Akufo-Addo in the last 8 years is just trying to do politics. I'm bringing all of this in to simply say that this is a social canker. You don't fight social canker scapegoating. If you scapegoat in the fight against social canker, you don't get results. Because what happens is that you allow the actual perpetrators to hide. Because you're not even pointing at them. You're not talking about them. You're not addressing them. You rather identify one or two people and you keep hammering as if today Abu Jinapo is removed from the lands ministry, there will be no Galamsey. This is a canker where the former environment minister, Honorable Ayariga, under the NDC, actually said on record, and it's reported on your portal, that he thinks we should give up on the fight against Galamsey. In fact, he recommended that we should legalize illegal mining. I mean, you see the contradiction. Legalize illegal mining. Where he said that it has become so difficult fighting this canker under the Atena because chiefs are involved, according to him, chiefs are involved, religious leaders are involved, opinion leaders, assembly members, and everybody, is involved. And so if you just get up and say, oh, there's Galamsey, fire the lands minister. Before the lands minister, was there Galamsey? Was there Galamsey before this lands minister? And so if you fire the lands minister tomorrow, does it end Galamsey?
So you feel that calls to relieve him of duty is not important?
No, the point is that before I say that let's relieve you of your role as a host on this program, you might have been culpable of something. I might have seen that you are either incompetent in fixing it, or you are doing what you are doing, or you haven't done what it is that you are supposed to do. But so I haven't heard anybody say any such thing about the lands minister. And my problem is that you don't find social canker by scapegoating and politicizing. If you try to fight social canker by scapegoating and politicizing, you leave the real culprits. They'll be doing their thing whilst you fight amongst yourselves. I am one person that has refrained from allowing myself to be drawn into this Galamsey conversation on partisan lines. Whose purpose does it serve? Who wins in this? This Galamsey menace, right from 2011, that's when it reared its head, under the former president as vice president and former President Mills. Before, whilst Wallace was in office, we had Galamsey. Galamsey is an 80s, 60s, 70s ancient pre-colonial activity. But they were not mining in river bodies. The actual river body Galamsey that we are seeing today reared its head in 2010, 2011. For the entire period that these people that are advocating for somebody to be scapegoated were in power, they couldn't fight it. They gave up. They lifted their hands in despair. We are people who have come to inherit this canker from them. And that should be put on record. And so it is we rather who are trying to fight a canker introduced by them. And so what should be done right now is to say that what is government's effort so far in the fight against this social canker? Why hasn't it worked? Government, we think that you should tweak this side, you should tweak this side, you should tweak this side. But I don't know why Galamsey fight is becoming very difficult. All of a sudden, we've allowed some of these people who claim to be neutrals to put this Galamsey conversation into the partisan political contest. So what happens is that everybody in Ghana today thinks that Galamsey is there because MPP officials are doing Galamsey. Was it NDC officials who were doing Galamsey in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2014? When the minister gave out, when cocoa farms were being cut down? Didn't the former president, please hold on, didn't the former president set up a task force to deal with Galamsey? Why didn't it work? So you're saying that we should vote against it and go for who? The one who introduced it. And that is my worry. You have somebody...
So you don't want us to politicize issues?
No.
Fair point.
You have somebody digging under his bed.
We're dealing with an emergency here, because the Ghana Water Company has served notice that Ghana, we may be forced to import water in the nearest future because of the dire impact of illegal mining. Now, we are quite interested in this administration because we know that at the start of this administration, the president assured us that he would deal with this. This is the key reason why Operation Vanguard was created. And so at this point where our water bodies are polluted and people are struggling to even find potable water, even though they live very close to the river bodies, the concern is about action.
That is the point.
Exactly.
So the evidence
so we want
is that,
to see
so the evidence
some
is
sort
that,
of action.
What is the action? What action is left
what
other
action
than
is the
what action is left other than
point?
The government sending military men and police to go and burn excavators and to get these people out of our river bodies? What action is left other than the government setting up community mining schemes and draw these young people to do safe mining? What action is left beyond the government providing the river body guards to help patrol these places? And this is a social canker. What it means is that it is a crime. And people would always find ways and means to commit a crime. That is why even though we have police, we still have people committing robbery this morning and this afternoon. But there is police. The fact that government and state have police and all security agencies doesn't mean that people have stopped committing a crime. But you see, when you are fighting a social canker, it's a different ballgame. When you have somebody digging under his bed, his own bed, so he can mine, you can see the psyche of these people and how much they want to get involved in this. That is why it is important for us to call out those who are making it difficult for us to fight the social canker. Why haven't you or anybody on the multimedia platform ever played this NDC video?
So why don't you call out the names?
But for example, the video is out there. The man who is spearheading the NDC agenda when it comes to mining, Dr. Tony Oben, and the NDC national officers are on video, not once, not twice, not just 3 locations, but multiple locations, videos of which are on social media. And think about this. Whilst government is beating people, arresting people, burning excavators, the other important aspect of this fight against Galamsey is the social reorientation. where people would need to have a reorientation of their minds to understand the danger that this Galamsey thing poses to us as our survivor. Then you have the biggest opposition party who is fighting to come to power in the Galamsey side, standing with them and telling them that, you know what, Galamsey preceded politics. Vote against these people and vote for us. When we come to office, do you see this man? His name is Tony Obin. He is the one who is going to be made the CEO of Minerals Commission. The very day NDC wins power, we are going to let all of you come and mine. This is the real threat. This is the real emergency. There is not a single enabler that is bigger than this issue. Because you see, what is happening is that you go and embolden the guys. So government cannot be in everybody's home at the same time. So you send Operation Vanguard, they go and burn excavators and leave. And these people go and they are emboldened. Today, when you go to the mining areas, they will tell you that, you know what, let me go and mine. I'll make money. If they arrest me within 3 months, NDC will come, they will come and remove me.
And we'll hold you accountable with some of these names and we'll reach out to some of them.
But the video is there.
Since we're naming and shaming.
The video is there.
Since we're naming and
Should I give it to you? Should I give it to your production to play it now?
Since we're naming and shaming, please forward it to my producer and he'll put it on. Since we're naming and shaming, let's talk about allegations that Akonta Mining, owned by Chairman Muntimin, is also actively involved in illegal mining. And people are hoping to see some sort of communication from the party to dispel some of these rumors. Is that the case? Why are you quiet when your own is involved?
Because anytime somebody is involved in the crime, I'll find out whether the person has actually committed the crime or not. Like I'm giving you the video. When I heard that the NDC people were in the pit encouraging Galamsey, I didn't believe it. I didn't just come out to speak. I waited for the evidence. Akonta Mining is a licensed small-scale mining. Since when did small-scale mining become illegal? So the fact that somebody owns a mining concession doesn't make it illegal. The Galamsey illegal mining we are talking about are individuals and businesses who are mining in our river bodies and our forest reserves without the appropriate licenses. Because what the licensing does is that once you have it, you are regulated to mine in safe and appropriate way. That does not affect our environment. And so unless you have contrary evidence to prove that Akonta Mining is not, because Akonta Mining, they didn't get their license at the MPP. They got their license in 2013 under the NDC government. And they are doing their small-scale mining. So if you find anybody involved in illegal mining, in spite of the political colors, and the person is involved in illegal mining, the law should deal with the person.
There are calls for a state of emergency to be declared.
For what?
Do you feel it's necessary?
No, I'm just asking for what?
You feel
Do you
it's
remember
not necessary?
in 2018 or 2019, there was a ban on small-scale mining?
Yeah.
Did they end Galamsey? I keep telling you, we've allowed these guys to mislead all of us on a path that will never get Galamsey solved. Galamsey is a social canker. These people live in this area. This is all they know their entire lives. Now, think about it. And that is where I'm coming into Dr. Mahmoud Bamia's proposal for dealing with Galamsey. The person has grown up in this area from the age of 6. He sees all these things happening. He doesn't know where the gold actually is, but he knows that the land he lives on has gold. And so he wakes up in the morning, he starts scavenging and just hope that he finds something. And because it's very difficult to scavenge on the rocks and on earth, he goes to the river bodies where it is easy. Over there, as he digs, he's washing and he gets what he wants. Dr. Mahmoud Bamia is saying that if we don't rechannel the energies of these young people into safe and appropriate mining, this fight we are talking about is a dead fight. And I agree with him. I absolutely agree with him. So he says he is going to provide the geo data that shows where these minerals can be found. Now, if you're a Ghanaian and you identify a concession, of course, based on the geo data that government has provided you, and you are interested in mining, currently, the Ghanaian will travel to the US or to China and go and look for a partner because we don't have the money to be able to mine safely. He's going to set up the Minerals Development Bank. That will provide the financial muscle needed for the Ghanaian concessionaire to mine so that these concessions will be wholly Ghanaian owned. Then all these young people who are in these rivers will now have a local man that has a concession that has been given the muscle by government to be able to mine, the financial muscle by government to be able to mine safely. And then they will all work for this person to do safe and appropriate mining. Do you know how many small-scale mining firms are in Ghana doing safe and appropriate mining? Are you aware that about 40% of our gold that we have, gold production every year, is from small-scale mining? And let me shock you. These small-scale miners are not doing illegal mining. They are not doing galamsey. We should stop putting all of these things together. Galamsey, as we are defining it today, and we are discussing today, are the people, one, who don't have the licenses to mine, and two, who are mining in our river bodies, in our forest reserves, where they are not supposed to mine. So if you have been able to mobilize resources, you have a concession in Seshi somewhere, you have all the regulations, you have employed, there is a small-scale mining firm employing close to about 5,000 young people in the western region. You are saying that we should ban them for what wrong? What crime has he committed? Because there is armed robbery, everybody should be left at home, everybody should be kept at home. Is that a sensible way to solve a social canker? That there is a lot of armed robbery, or there's a lot of phone snatching around Circle. So government should ban everybody coming to Circle. That is an emotive, an emotional way of trying to solve a problem. And that is why I keep telling you that these people who come on TV and radio and talk about ban, they are doing politics. Because you see, the NDC are the ones leading all these things with all their surrogates. Then when they come on radio and say government is not fighting it, do this, then they'll go to the pit. And I've sent the video to Echo, and I'm begging Echo to play this video, to hear these NDC operatives telling these galamseyers that forget MPP. You say they are sacking you, and they are burning your excavators. And then let me tell you one thing. If you have the opponents going into the pits to go and say these things, don't you realize that they have disarmed government effort in fighting this canker? Because anytime government goes in and leaves, the people will come back because they have a backing. Don't forget, the flag bearer of the opposition party, these people who are in the pit encouraging the galamseyers, has already told the galamseyers that when I become president, I will free all of you who have committed a crime and have been imprisoned. Why do we think we don't have to talk about this? All of you, producers, media people, why are you not talking about this? Why are you making it look like the solution?
I'm just getting information right now from my producer that video you just shared was as far back as 2020. Does that change your position? No,
that is why it should be played. That should tell you why we are still here, in spite of all the things you mentioned. That is why it should be played, and I want it played. They shouldn't cover it up. Let the viewers see it. That the reason why Operation Vanguard will fail, the reason why Operation Halt will fail, the reason why we've burnt a lot of excavators, beat people, this government has jailed, prosecuted and jailed the most.
And we'll bring you that video for our viewers watching. Very eager on social media to watch it.
Why on social media?
We'll bring it. We'll bring it shortly. We'll play it. So I'm just getting information from my producer that will play you that video shortly. But let's come back to the substantive issue.
It tells you why the fight will delay. Because these people are emboldened and are enabled by, you know how strong an opposition party is.
But you're just making the point right now that, to a large extent, the people we're hearing raise noise about the impact of illegal mining are politically motivated. But how about labor unions, TUC, demanding that government act, else they withdraw their services nationwide? How about the Christian Council?
But you see, you're not hearing them. You know why? It is because we've allowed the politics to cover them. These are genuine voices. The labor, these are people who are genuinely raising concerns. But when they raise the concerns, and we allow all these surrogates to come in, we don't ever get to the crux of the matter. Who has ever thought that, or ever brought the discussion to the fore, that galamsey should be treated as a social canker? I can give you 1,000 reasons why galamsey is like any form of addiction that you can think of. And the next question is, how do we fight addiction? When you go and arrest a cocaine-addicted victim, does it necessarily get him to stop? If you leave him the next day, don't you think he will go there? But when you arrest him, you take him for rehabilitation, so that by the time you bring him back, he is fully rehabilitated. But here we are. We are not discussing it. We are making it look like today, if you remove Nana Akufo-Addo, galamsey ends. Meanwhile, before Nana Akufo-Addo, that was when galamsey started. And who are you removing Nana Akufo-Addo for? The same people who started galamsey. The people who are in the pit and enabling the galamseyers. And so I am bringing this up and say that enough, media. Enough of bringing all these surrogates to come and discuss galamsey. Let's really elevate this galamsey conversation.
And that's what we've been doing here.
That's what you are doing. When you call Oliver,
spoke to Oliver because they are about to hit the street.
Oliver is always looking for one reason to hit the street.
Demonstration, and that is something that's happening.
Oliver is always looking for one. Ask him. He's always looking for one reason or the other to hit the street. So wait, after he hit the street tomorrow, ends galamsey. Why are you not going to the house of the former president? Why are you not going to the house of Tony Obey? He's the one telling the galamseyers to do galamsey. Are they the ones they are directing the demonstration to? Or the demonstration is directed towards Akufo-Addo? Think about it. Think about it. We need to stop this. If we do this, we are all enablers. That this is a social canker that requires a strategy to deal with.
What's the strategy? What's the strategy?
Mention one government.
I'm interested in the strategy.
Mention one government that has put in measures and effort to fight Galamsey than Akufo-Addo. Tell me one thing you can remember of the former president in his fight against Galamsey. Akufo-Addo has gone into the Galamsey areas with a lot of interventions. There is what we call the National Alternative Livelihood Program, being run by the Lands Commission. As we speak, all the National Alternative Livelihood Program does is that it's producing a lot of cash crops, seedlings, and giving it to these mining communities for free and say that stop destroying your land. You want something to do. Here, take it. Plant on your land so that it becomes a source of funding for you. That's a medium to long-term way of solving this problem. There is a lot of social orientation going on, trying to educate these people on the ground as to the dangers of Galamsey. That is another thing that the government is doing. Government introduced community mining schemes, where community mining schemes have been set up in mining areas and are still ongoing. And what it does is that all of you in this community stop going to the river. These are machines and equipment that allow you to mine appropriately. The government is giving to you. Take it. Mine safely, get your minerals, and make some money. Government has done that. Government has introduced river guards. Government has done that. So these are specific things. So the next thing will be, why? Why is it that upon all these interventions government has put in place, we still have this canker coming up? Dear government, shall we relook at what you have done? And can we also propose things that we believe can be done? But if you begin to throw things in, 80 days to elections, 2020, when we asked them to go and fight Galamsey, when we were forcing the hands of the government like we are doing today, to go to Galamsey areas and go and beat people up and seize the excavators, then we were in the pits telling the people to mine and vote for us. This government, because of its quest to fight Galamsey, lost elections in almost all of these Galamsey areas. And anybody believes that they can point fingers at the government, a government that puts its electoral fortunes on the line, and there is evidence that the people voted against them simply because of that effort. You are going to call the government names, and you said that government should be voted against and be voted for who? The one who is an enabler of Galamsey, the one who introduced Galamsey, the one whose record is there on your portal, indicating clearly that he has failed in the fight against Galamsey and he has raised his hands. Why are you guys doing this? Why? And nobody wants to talk about it. And then if you talk about it, me, I come from the mountains, so nobody can accuse me of Galamsey. I've never seen raw gold by myself, so I can speak about it. But make a mistake, come from the central region or come from the western region and talk about Galamsey. The next day they will brand you as a Galamseyer. That's their way of weaving around this thing. And how do we ever get to solve this problem if we continue like this?
So what do you propose we do now?
Dr. Mahmoud,
concrete steps.
I have taken you through that. Dr. Mahmoud Bamia is saying that, listen, upon a careful review of all the things we have done, it is clear that it is a source of economic survival for a lot of these people in the mining areas. So let's tap into that. First of all, you want to mine, but you don't have the money. I think I've gone over it, but I'll try again. You want to mine, but you don't have the money. We are going to provide you with the financial muscle through the setup of the Mineral Development Bank. Already, government has a strategy of backing our city with gold. So don't worry, when you mine, we'll buy. But we'll give you the money to mine. The concessions, don't worry. Go and talk to the chiefs and the owners of the land. We are bringing Minerals Commission to your district level. The licensing regime is going to be simplified. So you don't have to be coming to Accra and plenty grammar to discourage you. At the district level, with your chiefs, the district assembly, Minerals Commission, you'll get your licensing at the district level. Government gives you money. Government helps you with the tools and equipment that you need. Already, government has given you the data that shows where the minerals are. So you don't have to be scavenging and destroying the nature in order to find it. Mine safely and appropriately. When you finish, government will buy in cedis. When we get it, we use it to build our reserves, to back our currency, to strengthen it. This is Dr. Mahmoud Bamia's way of telling the people that we'll still help you to mine, but not in the river bodies. In this case, when the person gets up in the morning, he's not wondering what to do with his life. He knows that I'm going to mine in this area. I'm going to work in this organization to get this same mineral. Let me leave my water to be safe for all of us. But at the moment, we haven't, in all our efforts, strategically handled this matter as a social canker the way we should. Initially, we thought burning the excavators will help, it didn't help. We thought beating these people will help, it didn't help. We've used all manner of strategies, it hasn't helped. This is what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is proposing.
There are calls for the immediate ban of all forms of mining. And these calls are stemming from concerns that it's very difficult to separate the wheat from the chaff at this time when we have just 79 days to the general election. And we want to see action now.
When I tell you that this thing is political motivated, you don't understand it. Let me tell you why. Why are they calling us for that now? Are you aware that in 2018 there was a 1.5-year ban on small-scale mining? Did they end galamsey? Did they end galamsey? So a strategy you have tried before. Why do you try the same strategy? It didn't work. Why do you try the same strategy? Why don't you propose something new? They talk as if ban against galamsey proposal is a new thing. It's been done before. It was done in 2018. If it solved galamsey, why are we discussing galamsey again? So why is anybody proposing a strategy that never worked in the past that we should do it again? And expect me to follow you hook, line, sinker? No, I will not be hoodwinked. The ban against galamsey, ban against small-scale mining, I don't think is the way to go because, one, we have tried it before and it didn't solve the problem. Number two, there are people who are legitimately doing small-scale mining. It has nothing to do with galamsey. It has nothing to do... That we should go and ban Newmont and ban Goldfields and Anglo-Gold Ashanti and all of that. But where Anglo-Gold Ashanti and Newmont and Co are mining, what has it got to do with all the discussions we are having? So again, I tell you that it is politically motivated. Indeed, our water bodies are being affected. Indeed, galamsey is destroying the water bodies. But the proposals they are making, they are not making it in the interest of the water bodies. They are making it in the interest of their political affiliations. Let's push them like we did to them in 2020. Ban small scale. Do you know what happens when you ban small scale mining? There are tens of thousands of people who are going to lose their jobs. And I'm telling you that. There is one small scale mining, just one, that is employing close to about 5,000. So multiply by the number of small scale mining companies who are genuinely operating. So government should go and ban small scale mining. If my government bans small scale mining, I'll demonstrate against them. You know why? You know why? Because you are going to cause tens of thousands of people to lose their jobs. Why would you do that? So there are armed robbers in town. Because there are armed robbers in town, and there are armed robbers who are snatching phones in Circle, let's ban anybody from coming to Circle. Is that a sensible solution to anything? Let's
move away from illegal mining and let's talk about the NDC's calls for an independent forensic audit of the voters' register. We'll come also to the campaign
trail. Play my video.
We will play your video. Once I get,
I have made a point. So it must be bagged.
Once I get an alert from my producer, that video will come on your screen shortly. But let's talk about the NDC's demonstration that happened. Enough is enough. Massive turnout for that. They are also demanding an independent forensic audit of the voters' register. They feel it is filled with anomalies. What's your thoughts about it?
I don't speak for the Electoral Commission. I have always said that the MPP, we've had our own issues with the Electoral Commission. And so for me, when I see the NDC do these things with the Electoral Commission, all I do is to fold my hands and I laugh. And I say, we told you. They are even lucky. They had their demonstration, nobody was beaten with horsewhips. We were beaten with horsewhips. They poured hot water on us. In fact, somebody's eyes were plugged and the guy died. When we were calling for reforms during the NDC time at the Electoral Commission, what did these same people tell us? The former president who is saying that his followers should invade the EC. You know what he told us? He said that we should allow the EC to do its work. And that the EC has enough systems to be able to look at all the things that needs to be done about elections. He says that anybody who doesn't believe in the EC is a hypocrite. And that he believes the EC is a strong institution. The chairman of the NDC said that the exhibition is enough to deal with all manner of issues that anybody will have with the register. So the question is, what has changed?
So, but this time you're silent this time. So the concern
Why should I join you? Why should I join you too?
So you don't have any challenge with the EC?
We take our challenges to the EC. And I'll give you an example. And I'm telling you, see, the NDC, they are a very lazy political party. Okay. Because see, the issues they are raising, these are issues that we have identified. And the EC itself anticipates it. So there is exhibition. Do you know what the exhibition is supposed to do? There are average 500 people in every register in the polling station, over 38,622 polling stations. We have 5 executives in each of these 38,622 polling stations. So exhibition, we simply print the ballot, the register, give it to our people. While I vote in my hometown in Latte, I know everybody in the album. You know why? Because that is my area. And I have lived there. So in the houses, I know this person, I know this person's daughter. So when you pick it, and you realize that there is this name and this face that is not supposed to be there, that is what exhibition is meant to do. Go to the Electoral Commission. We have identified this anomaly. Otherwise, why do you think we do exhibition? We have done that. And we have actually provided our concerns. Who says you can have a register without issues? Every register has issues. That's why we do exhibition. And I hear them talk about dead people, and between today and tomorrow, somebody will die. So definitely there will be somebody in the register that is not supposed to be there because he's dead. So use your electoral, but of course I don't blame them. They don't have a very strong political party as we speak on the ground. But we have identified our issues, we've identified our difficulties, and we've shared it with the Electoral Commission. And we make sure that we follow up to make sure that they deal with it. That is easier. You think KPMG can come and audit close to about over 15 million people? KPMG, how is KPMG going to know that me miracles? I'm not supposed to vote at Latte. How are they going to know that? How are they really going to know that?
So you feel an independent audit is needless?
I am telling you that where we have gotten to with our electoral system, with biometric system and all of that, there is no better or perfect independent audit than the political party. Is there any independent audit than MPP themselves? Identifying in the album that is, this person is not supposed to, this person. Is there anything that beats that?
The NDC, they say they have observed a lot of anomalies, and they are concerned because they lack trust in the EC.
Raise it.
The reason why they're pushing for an independent audit.
But the EC is not supposed to do this audit for you. I'm telling you, go and do it yourself.
That's what they want. They want an independent auditor.
Why? So that's why I keep asking you that KPMG, you think that KPMG can, or Deloitte, can actually tell anomaly in the EC register than you yourself? That KPMG can determine that I'm not supposed to vote in Latte, but I'm there. You are a political party. The EC has given you an opportunity to have agents. You have the album. You have party people in the communities. Give it to them. Identify it. When you identify, give it to the EC to fix. But you are saying that because you identified 2 issues or even 10,000 issues, all of a sudden we should do what to the album? We should have a new register? Is that what they are calling for? Because I want to understand the independent audit. What is it supposed to do? To
clear the voters register of some of these anomalies they say they have.
These anomalies you can find at the exhibition. Present it and let's clear it. Are they saying that? Because the reason why we will not go.
Okay, so as we wrap up the conversation,
the reason why we will not go.
I just have a few more minutes to wrap up this conversation. Yeah, please, my producer, I need your go ahead to call for that video. So please alert me when I have it. But then let's talk about Baumie's campaign trail so far. Where are you right now? I've seen you've done a lot of groundwork, but you're not putting it out there. So what's happening?
The flag bearer today is in cabinet. So he's in Accra. He was in Adan, Segi, and Pram yesterday. Tomorrow we'll enter the central region, and then we'll continue the tour from there. It's been an exciting period. We are going to beat the NDC, believe me. We'll beat the NDC.
There are lots of polls, first from the presidency and also from a firm, SME. They predict that this election may travel into a runoff.
You know, when we took off somewhere last year, all the polls said that Dr. Baumia was behind. You remember? All the polls put John Mahama ahead. Then in February, after Dr. Mahmoud Baumia's speech, when the April polls came, he had closed the gap between John Mahama and Dr. Baumia. Then in June, it brought Dr. Baumia very close. In fact, some of the polls even said that Dr. Baumia was more popular than John Mahama, except the parties. Then in September, I see a poll that says that, in fact, all the polls that have come this week basically say that they are neck to neck. But let me tell you one interesting thing that happened yesterday. When the SBM report came, as usual of NDC, they didn't read the entire report. So when they saw the table that says that NDC is leading, enjoy, you misled them. You didn't mislead them, but you led them on that path. Because you stated a fact. The fact is that NDC in the SBM report is winning in 11 regions. So when you put up that your flyer that says NDC wins 11 regions, then they started posting without reading the report. But the report clearly indicated that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has 49.26%. And the NDC John Mahama has 49.12%. So in actual
sense, that's the SMB report there. Key findings from that report. I know that we're running out of time, but I'd like my producer to buy me time because I want him to end his point.
Yes, let me end my point. So in actual sense, the SBM report puts Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia ahead of John Mahama because the average of the percentage they have indicate that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has 49.26% and John Mahama has 49.12%. That is why today, if you go to Shamima Muslim's wall, she has deleted your flyer. Because she realized that, because in this country, why? The last election, we won only 7 regions. But we won the elections. The last elections, we won only 7 regions, but we won the elections. So you can win 13 regions and still lose the elections. You know why? Because Northeast, if you put all the Northeast region votes together, which you might have won that region, It's probably like some 3 regions in Ashanti region or 4 regions in Eastern region. So the fact that Joy News states a fact that NDC wins 11 regions doesn't mean we won. In the SBM report, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is leading John Mahama. But that's not even important to us. What is important to us is what are the issues that the SBM report is raising. As we speak, since last night, we've been reviewing all the polls that have come this month. And we've strategized. This morning, 8 a.m., we deployed. So next month, look out for another report. The good news is that we were trailing, we kept trailing, we kept improving, and today, neck to neck and ahead of your mama. That is why I keep telling you that we are going to beat the NDC with the strategy that they will never believe.
Okay, that's miracles, Aboagye. If we leave you, you'll go on and on. We'll be back after this break to bring you that video. So please stay tuned in.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The European Union is calling on the government to develop a holistic framework which will promote the use of technology to boost the agri sector. Margosata Pitura, Programs Officer at the European Union delegation to Ghana, noted that the adoption of technological innovation will guarantee the growth of the agri sector. She spoke on the sidelines of the EU session on promoting digitalization and industrialization in the agribusiness sector at the ongoing Ghana Industrial Summit and Exhibition organized by the Association of Ghana Industries.
The session included a presentation on the digitalization of the agribusiness sector in Ghana. The finding from the research, which was funded by the European Union, proposed that government develop policies to guarantee accessible and affordable internet for farmers. Additionally, it's noted that the majority of farmers will require training to ensure the proper use of technological applications. Commenting on this, Margosata Pitura, Programs Officer at the Economic and Trade Unit of the European Union delegation to Ghana, called for consistent policies to encourage the adoption of technology in the agribusiness space.
So the government should work out on the so-called digital agriculture policy. In my view, that would be the best because digital uptake should be something that the government is seriously committed to, and that it comes with a proper implementation plan for every region, so that farmers everywhere are helped and supported with this in this regard.
With a total support of approximately 200 million euros in the agribusiness value chain in the past 7 years, Margosata explained that the European Union remains resolute in supporting the agribusiness sector.
We are supporting agri-entrepreneurs through capacity building programs. We often choose specific value chains to support them with regard to sustainable practices. So sustainability, here we think of going green or going environmentally friendly, or the social sustainability. And a lot of this programs have taken place, but more is coming in the pipeline.
Seydou Mubarak, a beneficiary of EU-funded schemes in the agribusiness sector, called for support for farmers affected by the recent drought in the northern belt of the country. He lamented the challenge of securing funding for the upcoming crop season due to the loss of capital caused by reduced yields resulting from the drought.
Now, MTN Ghana has argued that the cost of data paid by Ghanaians is comparatively average with the global trend, as it experiences high operating costs during production. Now, MTN Ghana recorded a 15.9% growth in data subscription for the first half of the year, which drove significant revenue for the company. Now, speaking to journalists after addressing investors and some shareholders at the Facts Behind the Figures session organized by the Ghana Stock Exchange, Chief Executive of MTN Ghana, Stephen Blewett, said the company pays more to ensure quality service.
Well, I mean, I think one of these things is you have to do comparisons, global comparisons, and sometimes there's perception that we are expensive, but if you look in reality about what we charge, relative to the cost that we have, because it's not free to produce data, we have costs that are involved. it's not always that, this view that, we excessive. I think you have to look at global benchmarks, and we also have to look at the cost of production, because obviously we have a cost of production to produce data. And part of that is improving our network and expanding the network and putting more and more technology. So we continue to do that. Yeah.
Where is that cost coming from? Is it from government or from?
No, it's from cost from running a network. Every network has multiple costs. There's layers. There's the layers of running it. There's the electricity costs. There's the cost of the actual data itself in terms of you have certain revenue costs, because you don't just pay the cost of data in terms of just per meg. There's people behind it. There's all different types of costs. So as a business, we always try and be as efficient as possible, And what we try and do is we try and give away as much value as we can to our customers through deals and CVM offers.
All right, that's it for business. Back to you, Fosi.
Thank you, Daryl. And that's it for NewsX. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com at 12 p.m. Susie Aboagye will come your way with Joe News today. Do stay tuned in.